Hey guys, this is Fan Confessions, the channel of two friends, two fans, and the K-Wave. Hi, I'm Lisa.
I'm Stephanie.
And welcome to the place where we share our love of all things K-pop, K-drama, and our experience as fans.
All right, so Drama Club is back. So, yay! We decided to keep this segment. I mean, I think it makes the most sense. We felt super comfortable doing it. We really enjoyed watching our past series, so we're like, why not? Let's do it again. We're gonna do a few like a little tweak to it, I guess. So last time we were doing like bigger chunks, like 4 episodes at a time. We had some chapters you could use, it's pretty handy, but we figured it might be better to do it in a bite-sized format since we liked it so much. So we're going to be doing 1 episode per week, which is really exciting. So more content to you faster, and you can kind of keep up with the series as it goes along. And we're still going to keep our rule. After about 3 or so episodes, we're going to, talk amongst ourselves, figure out if it's something we want to keep watching or if we're going to drop it, because that's the reality of watching K-dramas. Sometimes you drop them because you're not feeling it, right?
Exactly. So our next drama on the list is Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha. So Hometown, I know, Cha-Cha-Cha. So Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha is a romantic comedy, bit of a slice of life, starring Shin Mina. She plays the main character of Yoon Hye-jin. And we also have Kim Sun-ho, who plays Hong Do-shik. And it's a bit of a remake of a 2004 movie called Mr. Handy, Mr. Hong. And it's about a dentist living in the big city. And she loses her job after a bit of a righteous indignation going after her boss for overdoing patient treatment for profit. So she embarks on a little bit of a find herself journey to a little seaside town where she has some fond memories of. And she happens to come across a bit of a jack of all trades, Mr. Hung. And by chance, their paths keep sort of like meeting up, and it's one of those like serendipity moments. And he somehow finds himself helping her out of a little snag or two, and things develop from there.
I'm so excited for this one.
I know. So Stephanie is actually very excited just because our lead actor is somebody that she's very fond of. What is it? Startup he was in?
Yeah, he is the second male lead in Startup, which I still haven't finished yet, but mainly I've told Lisa it's because of the fear that she's not going to end up with him, and he's so good. And I just don't want to see it because I would be so mad. So I'll probably get around to it, but I've adored him in that. So we get to see him for a full 16 episodes as a male lead.
Exactly, as a male lead, and he's he's got high chances of getting his girl in this one for sure. So I think that'll make Steph very happy. Like Steph said, full length, 16 episodes. It's airing on TVN in Korea as well as Netflix, and that's where we're funding our episodes on. Mm-hmm. So our main actors, Shin Mina, you may recognize her from Oh My Venus or My Girlfriend is a Kyumpo. Tomorrow with You, which one is one of my favorites. I recommend everybody watch Tomorrow with You because it's really, it gets you in the heart. She's also in Chief of Staff and Tale of Our Young. Kim So-hyun, of course, is from Startup. As we've mentioned, he's in Run On. He is in Welcome to Waikiki, which is a very funny drama. He's in The Good Manager, another really awesome one, and Strongest Delivery Man. So our friend has got some cred, and he's gonna bring that to this one as well, I think so.
Yeah, we've got a stacked cast. I mean, Shin Mina is very charming, so I had high hopes for this. Yes, the dimples, right? They're like so pronounced.
She's got the best dimples. I'm so jealous of her dimples, and she's so I just love her. Yeah,
and she's aging very gracefully because it feels like it's been a couple of years since we've really seen her. I haven't seen the other dramas as much, or much of the other dramas, but I have seen Oh My Venus, which is that's her last
yes.
one, right? Yeah. So it's been a bit since we've seen her on screen, so it's really nice to see her back. before we get into talking about the episodes, I thought we could chat a little bit about our thoughts pre-watching it. So I mean, of course, we're excited about the actors. That's usually like the first thing that you like look at, right? You're like, who's in it?
Exactly.
And then then you kind of try and speculate based on like, you know, what the plot is, if it's going to be something that's going to interest you. So like immediately I was like, yeah, charisma's going to be there, so I already know this is going to be a good chance I'm going to like this one. Small town feel, I love those dramas. I don't know about
Yeah,
you,
exactly.
small town scenes in it. I love that.
I'm a fan of those as well, and especially since we just came off of our previous series, which was a little heavier, a little bit on the more like
it's like melodrama. It was like
melodrama
style.
So now this seems, walking in, seeing a little bit of the trailers, this one seemed a little lighter, a little more on the comedic side, which is like, sometimes you just need a good laugh.
Some of my favorites are the rom-com ones, and when they do it right, they're always so good. And such a nice, like, little, like, this just feels like it's going to be really refreshing. Episode 1.
Okay. Oh, here we go.
So it's like immediately I was like, this is a bigger budget than the last one, hey? Like I feel like the camera work, this scenes, like, and it didn't make me realize actually how much Nevertheless was really shot in very few locations almost, right?
It's like the way it was shot too is like very like more grittier, not quite as like brightly and well lit.
Yeah, and like I'm assuming they're using drones and stuff to film over like the sea and then like the city parts. I don't know. It's just really interesting and beautiful. And I was like, I love this already.
Yeah, exactly. It just like the way it comes in like like us being a couple of city career girls, it was very we felt related to. We could get where this was coming from, and like in Hee-jin's world when we first walk into the episode, for sure.
Yeah, I was like, oh, she's on the 44th floor, so she's in a high rise. Like she's having the life kind of like what I feel like I wanted at some point in time, like the downtown, like
exactly
the high-end apartment and the whatever.
She's got a great career. She's like a dentist, which is like, apparently you're pretty well set in the dental industry in Korea. So
it was nice to see that kind of career on a woman, and it seems like she's not, well, I was trying to decide if she was new at it or not. I don't think she's super new.
No, I think she's just sort of in a position where she's still working for other people, and like she's sort of like not partner, she's associate level.
Yeah, so she has to like share things like her patients and whatever, and go after whatever advice the other person gives her, whether she likes it or not usually.
Yeah. So like fun thing I noticed about Hee-jin, I keep on wanting to call her like the actor's name. Hee-jin. So Hee-jin seems like a little bit shy to me. Do you get that vibe too? Especially when she meets her neighbor's mother in the elevator, and she's like, oh God,
something. She like
God,
doesn't like it.
I know, a stranger's talking to me. What do I do? How do I interact?
Yeah, she did seem, well, I was also like, did something happen between them? And that's why she feels so
I know she was very uncomfortable, right? And cautious, right?
It's interesting because she comes off very confident, but then she has those moments at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be interesting to see like why she's like that. Maybe we'll have a little bit of explanation later on, but
not so far.
Not so far. We're still getting to know her. So
and then so that lady you mentioned, she ends up coming back into the scene, right? She's like one of her patients, turns out to be.
Mm-hmm. So and it just, and Hee-jin gets to like show off just like she is like actually a decent person. She's not a jerk for like trying to brush her off in the elevator. But
and then she gets called out for her delivery bags. I remember that part. I was like, ooh. I'm like, I would feel that. I'd be like,
it's like, oh yes, I don't cook.
Yeah, but that would totally be me at the same time. So she ends up like having her as a person that comes in to get their teeth done and whatever. And I mean, of course, it's like you're going to have all kinds of patients, right? You're going to have some people that can afford it and some people that maybe they can't afford as much. So she was pretty kind to her and offered her what she thought she needed versus like upcharging her and trying to sell her on stuff maybe she doesn't exactly need right away.
Exactly. Exactly. Like any good ethical physician would.
You would hope.
It's like, we're not going to do excessive and unnecessary treatments when we don't have to. And we're not gonna like put you in the poorhouse to get some extra dental implants that could have waited like another 5 years or so. But Jin has a boss, and her boss comes in and decides to get her like fingers into Jin's business. And she's like, I'm taking your patient away from you. I'm gonna do this and that. And like Jin was not having that. So,
I was surprised. I didn't expect her to get to the level of like, I must like say no to this in the first little bit. I mean, it makes sense now, but I was like, oh, okay. Well, I was proud. I was like happy it went to that level of her rejecting it, because I was like, sometimes they just go, okay. And like, they don't really agree with it, but they just do.
Yeah, exactly.
They feel like they're obligated to, right?
I think it sort of like sets up Jin's character's moral compass.
Yeah.
Like, she's obviously seen her senior doctor pull this kind of stuff a lot. And she decided, you know what, this is the last straw. I'm not having any more of this. And like, talk about epic resignation scenes. The take your money, I quit. And like, frankly, I was like, I don't know if I would have the courage to ever do something like this, but it was really satisfying to watch.
Yeah, it was like what you always hope happens and it doesn't happen, and then it did happen, and you're like, yes, like you're rooting for it. You're like, that's exactly, you know, what do you want to see happen? And then on the like opposite end of the scale afterwards, she's like, what the heck have I done, kind of thing, and goes on a bender pretty much, right?
She's like, I'm going to buy some really expensive shoes that I can't afford anymore, but I'm buying them anyway.
Yeah, like, I mean, I'm like relatable, totally relatable.
Yes, exactly.
And so, yeah, she gets really drunk. And then the next day you see her like hungover and whatever. And like another relatable moment to me was like, so I guess like not so much that, so she gets drunk and I guess you find out she posts about this on the internet, probably on some forum or something where other doctors are and stuff, and it's like you could just see it's like littered with spelling mistakes and all kinds of things. So she's clearly very drunk when she did this, and then she wants to delete it or get rid of it, and she's like trying to put in her password and she can't
remember her password.
And I'm like, yes, I'm like, this is exactly like so relatable.
So
she was just
oh my god,
but just an everyday thing. I'm like trying to do something like that. Like,
morality and righteousness was on her side, but you know what, alcohol makes some very poor decisions.
Yeah, I don't know, but that was like one of the few things, like some of the things I like about K-dramas is that when they hit that relatable part, it is so good because they do a lot of the like small moments that a lot of like westernized television just glosses over all the time.
No, exactly.
They do it so good. I mean, that's probably why the episodes are so long and the series are so long, but I'm all there for it. So
yeah, exactly. So, but going off of her little like spewing out and like talking trash about her ex-boss, unfortunately has consequences. Because our friend can't find a new job to save her little life. So things are getting a little rough. And things are like getting a little tough emotionally for Jin. And it comes to a moment where like she gets a notification on her phone. And she's like, oh no, not more bills. But it's a reminder that it's her mother's birthday. Yeah. And from what I'm gathering, her mother is passed away.
I think so. I was like, it looks like he was ill or sick.
Yeah, in some of the flashback scenes. Yeah. So I think she lost her mother. So like it being her birthday is an extra hard day for our friend. So she decides to go on a little journey to rekindle some very happy moments in her life with her mom.
Yes.
And so hence our little visit down south to our seaside town.
Yes. And then da da da, in comes our knight in shining armor.
Armor.
Of course, it was like so cinematic. And
I know this like epic, like at the head of the boat coming into harbor.
Like, so, oh my gosh, I was waiting for it. So I was like, I loved how they did that. I was like, yes, okay. And so immediately I was like, hey, he's like, I didn't know what he was at that point. I'm like, maybe he's a fisherman or something. And I was like, I loved how they were coming from, like, she's very city and he's very country. I was like, perfect. I love these dynamics so much. So
yeah, but it's so funny how he's introduced, because I remember thinking this guy's a little too good to be true.
Yes.
Because he chats up everybody has a kind word from him, everybody has some seeking advice from him. He's like, he does everything. He is the man in the town, and he knows what's happening, and he will give his shirt off his back for everybody. Apparently he speaks, I think, Portuguese. I think he had
Russian. It was Russian.
It was Russian.
It was a Russian guy. I think. Okay, we were guessing it was Russian. Maybe it's Portuguese.
I'm thinking it's Portuguese. I don't know. I think he was from Brazil.
Okay.
So a foreign worker, and like the friend on the docks is complaining about the foreign worker, and Doshik comes over and he's just like, he starts speaking to him in Portuguese and or Russian.
No problem.
We're still debating on that.
I don't know. This is what Richard said. Okay, my husband said Russian, not me. Okay, I don't know what it was.
I just, from what he was saying too, I like from the subtitles of the conversation. I used to work for a Portuguese company, so it sounded very familiar. So. So he's like just like going off in Portuguese, and he's got some great advice, and he's got everything in his bag. Oh, you're seasick? Have some mint tea. And he's just like, this guy just seems a little too good to be true, because he's walking through the town. Everybody wants to talk to him. Everybody wants his advice. And I'm just like, what is up with this guy?
I don't know. Well, so obviously I was happy because I just like, I know he's charming. So I was like expecting that. And so I had started watching this with my husband because he saw me watching it. And he's like, I'm going to watch with you. And so he was immediately like in love with this man because they share the same name. So my husband's Korean name is Dushik, which I guess is a very uncommon name for Koreans. So he was like really like, what, the second that it happened, and has been attached to my hip ever since we started watching this. So
it's like, when are we going to watch the next episode? When are we going to watch the next episode?
Pretty much. So he will make me finish this if I didn't want to anyway. But yeah, so he is like super in love with him. So I guess that's like we're team Dushik all the way over here. But anyway, so then like they're still kind of separated, and then we see Heijin come to the town that he's in for the day. I guess I'm assuming she just thought she was gonna go for the day, right? And she's like at the beach, and of course she's got like, doesn't know how to dress for the beach.
No,
she's got her fancy shoes on.
I saw her, like, no, she's wearing like stiletto fancy heels, walking on the sand, and I'm just like, what are you doing? So of course, like any smart woman does, she takes her shoes off and she goes for a walk. But do you think the woman takes her shoes with her?
No.
And then she's coming back to the place where she's starting. She's like, oh no, where are my shoes? What happened to my shoes?
And then da-da-da, what happens?
Hero of the day comes, and he's like,
cinematic scene out of the water in a wetsuit.
Do you remember, have you ever watched like the James Bond movies with Daniel Craig?
It's like the Bond girl coming out of the water.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like Bond version.
Well, I guess there's Bond girl and Bond guy coming out of the water, and like actual James Bond coming out of the water.
Exactly.
So yeah, this is like Korean James Bond water.
Yeah, Dushik came in more. Exactly, with the shoe. And she's like, she's like, where's the other one? And he's like, what do you think, a magic?
Well,
It
and then
floated
you
on my
think it
board.
probably messed up whatever he was doing versus him just like being a hero, I guess, trying to grab it or something.
Yeah, so it's funny. Like I love about their first encounter is she's just like, I'm sorry, like I don't mean to impose on you, but as you can see, I don't have any shoes. And he's just like, who are you, lady? And why are you trying to make me go searching for like your shoes? What is
Yeah,
this?
like I find it so interesting because he's so charming. Yeah, I was like, that whole interaction was kind of cold. But then I was like, she is kind of assuming he will do whatever for her just because she feels in distress, when really is she really in that in distress? Not really, right? Like,
No, exactly.
it's not a big deal. And then it's like funny because he offers her his shoes, like sandals or whatever they are, that say toilet or something on them, like something silly, like toilet bathroom shoes or something. And so like she's almost too good for it in a way, right? So you kind of get to see her like level of like how comfortable she is in this type of world. It was very much giving me. Do you ever see the show Heart of Dixie?
I don't recall.
It was like a show about a doctor that comes from a big city and then she moves to a little southern town. And so this is very much giving me that vibe 100%, because it's like she's just so used to her city life, and then this is like so like country bumpkin feeling kind of thing, and it's very comedic, which I love that show. So if you like this vibe, that's another good show to watch. It's like a little bit older, but great nonetheless. But yeah, I was like very excited when this started happening and the dynamic came through here, because I was like, okay, this is gonna be K-drama gold.
Yeah, but you know what's funny? And I think this is something I'm sure we'll discuss later on about impressions we have of people and the assumptions we make of people when we first meet them. And I think that's a theme that sort of like carries on to the rest of this episode and the next. But Heijin comes off as like kind of like a little pompous, a little self-important. And meanwhile, like we see little bits of her in other scenes where it's just her or just her friend, and she's like a very different person. So it's funny seeing like through Dushik his impression of her at first and like her impression of him at first, because she's like just like jerk, leave abandon me without my shoes.
It's not his fault though.
Exactly. You can't just assume somebody's
Like,
gonna be
I was
there.
okay with it though. I'm like, okay, for once we don't have a lead that is like bending over backwards for her in the first instance here. He's like kind of level setting it a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, you gotta earn your help.
And so like she eventually decides to take the sandals reluctantly, obviously, so she can get around a bit. And then she ends up having even worse luck. Like, of course her car breaks down. Why wouldn't it break down?
Exactly. Why would it, like, it was running perfectly fine when she came all the way down from Seoul. And like now she presses that start button and she's like, oh my God, what is happening? And then it's just like, what do I do? And then it's like this string of unfortunate events.
Yes.
So our girl tries to phone the insurance company, but there's no signal on her phone. She tries to pay for coffee at the coffee shop because she needs to use their bathroom, but their debit machine or credit card machine isn't working. And and then it's like, then she gets accused of being a fake scammer, trying to like, well, let me go get money so I can pay for my coffee. And okay, I'll leave my phone behind as reassurance. So it's just like bad luck moment after bad luck moment after bad luck moment. And you're just like, oh, you poor girl.
Although I can totally believe that. I feel like I've definitely had those days where it's like if everything could go wrong, it does go wrong. It won't go wrong. And then you're just like, oh my God. So, but I mean, this is K-drama land. She is not being stranded in a place that's like unsavory for her. It's obviously an okay place to be. We get to meet a couple of the the like town people in this scene. Like she meets the kids on the street, which is super cute. These two
That
little
is
kids.
the best. She gets to, I know, that is the best scene ever.
Oh,
Like,
they're adorable.
oh, so these like two adorable little kids, and like one's bawling her eyes out, and the other one's just sort of like calmly standing there. And then when Heijin comes to investigate, turns out the little girl knocks her friend's tooth out,
Mhm.
but she's the one who's crying.
She felt so bad.
Felt so bad, but luckily our Heijin is a dentist, so she was able to help out.
Right. So it's like then you start to see these little things and you're like, okay. It's like it's not very good about, I guess, in a sense, it's not very mysterious on where this is gonna go. It's like pretty obvious that you're like, okay, I know where this is going, but you're okay with it because you're like, it's cute watching it unfold and whatever. So it's fine. The other interesting character we had was the cafe, or so-called cafe. It's got a really weird name. It's like coffee not in the day, or I can't remember.
Coffee in the afternoon, beer at night, beer in the moonlight, beer in the moonlight, or something like that.
Yeah, and it's like owned by this guy who is like clearly you see his face around and stuff. Like he's got posters of himself, so it's like he's a has-been something, like probably musician or whatever.
Yeah, 90s singer.
Yes,
he was big with his one-hit wonder.
Yeah. And so he's just like waiting for people to like recognize his hit or whatever, and she clearly is just not having it and hates his coffee, like apparently terrible.
Oh god, it's terrible coffee. But it's so funny about that character because I actually have a little bit of affection for him because his styling.
Yes.
His
so
styling.
Well done, hey?
If anybody's seen Coffee Prince, like yeah, it's like very much that era. So you know that guy's sort of stuck in his heyday and he's having trouble letting go.
Yeah, he was styled very good. You're right. It was like very obvious from when he was popular because he's held on to it that whole time. And but it's come back around.
It's come back around.
I've seen those glasses everywhere now. The sunglasses and the tinted frames, and oh man, good times. So other than that, and then I guess we've also met at this point a restaurant owner as well. We've seen a little bit of her. She's divorced.
Yes.
Seems to, I think, does she have kids too? She has a kid?
Yes, the little boy who lost his tooth is his mom.
Right. Okay. So of course, so it's quite adorable, the whole little connections there. And so I was like, okay, I'm liking this. I'm loving all the little different people.
And the interactions and like Heijin getting a little bit of a friendship going on with the restaurant owner.
Yes. And then of course, who is she gonna ask for help? Mr. Dushik, of course, in this moment of not having money, right?
Yeah, because she's like stumbling around. She can't get access to her cash because the bank machines are down. So she's like, I can't just leave without paying for the coffee because they're commandeering my phone. And she's just like, oh, angel, like the heavens open up and the shining light down on a familiar face who helped her out with her shoes. So maybe he'll help her out with this.
Again, yeah, maybe. Yeah. And so, but he's not necessarily the nicest way to help her. It's like, okay, well, if like I'll spot you, but then you need to actually try and earn your money, right? So
most people when they exactly, they go for a bit of a walk, and like Heijin's reaction was something that I was like, yeah, I would feel that way too. She's like, you're not taking me anywhere sketchy, are you?
Immediately like concerned.
Yeah, which would being, yeah, I would feel the same. I was just like, where are they going? How is she just following him without even asking?
But he's doing good deeds. He's like notifying them about like something because the power was out, right?
Exactly. So, but she doesn't know this when she starts following him, but she gets to witness this. And like, he's just there for the town and he's there for the townspeople. He's stopping at all the elders' places and letting them know. And it's just so cute because all these little old ladies, and there's one lady that I guess she's deaf. And
Or,
he's
oh,
like,
she was blind, I think. No, deaf.
no, deaf, because
right,
he's
that's
using
right.
sign language.
Of course, because he
He knows sign language.
He's just amazing. And
He's just amazing. He just does everything. And it's so funny because he sets Heijin up to earn a bit of cash for the day, cleaning squid, everyone.
yeah, that scene was like, I when they went up to do that, I'm like, I could not do this job. I'm not good at anything. Which then, so I'm like criticizing her being too hoity-toity, and I'd probably be like, no, thank you.
Oh god, yeah, because like slicing up the squid, like, so I think she handled herself very well in that situation. I have to admit, she wasn't the most skilled initially, but she picked it up.
And she still did it, right? Yeah.
She still did it.
Kind of like showed them because they were teasing her about it, and then she managed to figure it out and everything.
So you have to admire her ingenuity in that situation, I have to admit.
Totally. So she gets to the point that she sees him afterwards, and he pays her for that. So she's got some money on her hands now. But then it's like she's trying to figure out what to do with her car, and then it's like, of course it's not something that's going to be fixed overnight, like no. or anything. So then she's like, well, now what am I going to do?
But luckily, Dushik's like hung around long enough to give her a boost to at least get the battery going. Mm-hmm. And then you realize, girl, did you not notice your tire pressure light was on the entire way from Seoul?
Goodness.
So yes, so our girl is stranded in the town overnight because she needs to wait until the repair shop is open to get her tire fixed.
Mm-hmm. And so she goes to like one of the spas, or the spa nearby, and then guess who's running the spa? Because he works everywhere and does every job in this city.
Yeah, it's so funny because there is one scene that we didn't mention before, as he's like near the beginning of the episode, where he's sort of like interacting with all the different townspeople, and where he has to go to the hardware store to pick up a piece of like some kind of thing to do some kind of repair job, and like he's very tight with his wallet, so it was hilarious because he was just like, yeah, change purse.
That's the part I love, is he has a change purse. It is the cutest little thing, and he pulls it out every time he's taking out his money, because it's like you almost tell he's very frugal or something about it, right?
Oh yeah,
he's very particular with the money with her and what he owes her, and vice versa, and everybody else. But yeah, and he's got this cute little change purse he pulls out. Yeah, like, I love this.
Imagine something your grandma used to carry in her bag.
Embroidered. It's probably one of the Ajumas had to give it to him. Like, I can't.
Oh yeah, definitely
one of those things. But I love it.
I know, it's just like one of those adorable little character traits that you like. Okay, yeah. You start warming up to him. Just because of these little things, these little details.
Oh, and the fact that he's just he's so hardworking. Like, he's everywhere.
I know. He's everywhere doing everything, and he's like super impressive. Like, I have to admire a guy like that, because I remember thinking in my head as I'm like watching him go around in like all these situations, I'm like, does that man not sleep?
Yeah, pretty much. It's like I feel like they have blown it a little out of proportion. I feel like there's no way someone could actually do all these things or at least all the things regularly. I guess it's just he goes where he needs to be at any given time, but yeah, anyway, it's a small town, so maybe it's likely. Maybe I don't know enough about it, but
yeah, exactly.
Definitely.
But this is like thinking about like Heijin's situation again. Like, I have to, like, there's just something that came up in my head. Like, how would I be able to handle being stranded in a small town, no money, no access to phone? What would I do? So I think I would probably have had a meltdown. So the way Heijin handled herself, I think, was pretty admirable. And like the fact that she was able to go up, and luckily she saw a familiar face and somebody that she can ask for help, and somebody who was willing to guide her in the right direction, not necessarily give her a hand out, but a hand up.
Yeah. I don't know, like, it's funny that you say that because I'm like, would I have a breakdown? I don't think I would. I'm not the type of person that would get that stressed out about it, like, unless like I had to be somewhere or something. But then I feel like there's always a way out somehow. And then I'd also have the mentality in my head, I think that everybody can relate to being stuck in a position that's unlike that. Like, that's like,
Yeah, it's like, how do I deal with this? What is happening
yeah.
right now?
So I would probably just go to the first person I thought that looked friendly enough that would be willing to help me and just talk to them about my situation. And maybe they just have an idea of someone I could talk to that will help me or whatever. But I like to believe in the greater good of people and that they genuinely will help you. But one thing that would freak me out, that freaked her out, and I was like, same girl, was when she was in the spa and then a cockroach came up and she
God,
out. I would not handle that. I could not. I would also go sleep somewhere else upstairs, which was like outside.
Oh gosh, I may not have like screamed and ran away like she did, but yes, I would be very much perturbed by the giant bug. Oh,
that would be my straw. If there was a straw, it would be that. Not anything.
Oh my god. Exactly. So like there's some pretty, I want to say, out there situations happening, but you know what? If you think about it, if like boom, that kind of like something, those series of events happens, I think like the resulting consequences from that, I think very relatable, like very like this is something that could happen. Totally.
Like a really, really bad day.
It's a really, really, really bad day. It's her deceased mother's birthday, and it's just a really, really bad day.
Yeah. And so like as we continue going on here, it's like we do, what was I gonna say? So we kind of see too a little bit of his like background, and the fact that I feel like we learn a little bit that he seems to be on his own, and like the village raised him. Like there's someone said something at some point, maybe it was one of the old ladies. I think it was when he was visiting, right? Yeah,
there is one particular Jama that he seems really close to, and I don't know if like, I have a feeling like she might be his like legitimate grandmother,
maybe,
but they seem like a little extra close. They have like a bit of an extra special relationship between them, and she's sort of like his mother figure, and he's there to look out for her, kind of thing. So it makes me feel like maybe he's in this town and he's sort of like made it his home. And I'm wondering if maybe she's one of the big reasons why he's done that.
Yeah. And I just like, I don't know, I was so heartwarming. I'm like, it's like the village raised him, so that's why he's so good to it. No, like I love that. I don't know. I know. It's really cute.
It's like being like, feel that kind of like loyal to your hometown and to the people living there. I think it's pretty admirable. Like when you're there, it's like, no, we're gonna do what we can for this place, and we're gonna do what we can for the people that are not just my neighbors but my family. So that was, I like that kind of theme, that kind of atmosphere going on.
Yes. And so it's like next day she can go, right? Finally she can make a point to leave, and she's gonna leave with those shoes on still. Whatever.
But like there's a bit of a thought that was planted in Heijin's head by our restaurant owner friend.
Yes. Oh, that's right, we didn't mention
that. So the restaurant owner is sort of like, oh, you're a dentist, it would be so great if this town had a dentist. The closest one, fate, it's just all about the fate.
Clearly.
And it's just like, oh, it'd be great. There's so many elderly in this town that would be like knocking down your door for treatment and all that kind of stuff. And so the little earworm gets in Hei-jin's head, and she's like, she happens to stroll by the real estate office, and she's like, it's a lot more affordable to start for here and than it is in Seoul, because like I would never be able to start my own practice in Seoul right now.
Right.
So it's just like, no, maybe no. So that like I'm not going to drastically change my life like that with a flip of a switch.
Mhm.
And then it's so funny because do you remember what triggered it on her drive home after she got her car going again? Was it like a phone call with somebody or
Something, because it was like, was that when she was being told that there was no way she was getting a job because everybody, like her boss had been spreading, she might have found that out earlier.
Yeah, she found that early, but I think her boss actually phoned her.
Oh, that's right.
And she's like, okay, so it's been a week. You're not going to get a job. You're never going to get a job again with anybody else. If you come back and blah, 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 and get down on your knees and beg me for forgiveness. Oh, that would just so burn.
Well, that clearly did, because she was like, nope. She like turned her car around.
Classic drama moment where they do an epic U-turn.
Middle of nowhere, yeah.
Middle of nowhere.
Don't worry about any traffic. I'll do a U-turn here.
Yeah, it's just like it's just perfect that the highway is clear enough for me to do this.
Always.
So then, dun dun dun, epic fate. Here we go. Sets us up for the rest of the series. Our girl signs a contract. She's going to start her office, and it's going to be the start of a very interesting story.
Yes. And then we get the little bit of, I love when they do these like little after scenes that kind of like retroactively look at something. So then
from a different angle, right?
Yeah. So then we get to see Dushik seeing her with the little kids and being sweet. So it's like, he knows a little bit more about her than he's letting on that he knows. Like, it's kind of like, not that he's like watching her creepily, but that he just happened to see her be a good person at the same time as it's like, so it's like, it's almost like he's trickily being hard on her, like on like
yeah, exactly. he's putting on a bit of a gruffer exterior, but he's like, he just happens to be at the right place at the right time to see her in her more genuine moments, her less guarded moments. And I think that's it was really fun to see from his perspective, like her with the kids and watching her as she's helping the ladies with squid cleaning. Yes, and like he sees something in her that maybe not everybody around her might automatically see, right?
Yeah, it's setting the tone.
Yeah, definitely setting the tone. It's gonna go into like the more fuzzy feelings and good stuff.
So, episode 1, how are we feeling?
Well, so far I'm feeling good. It's sort of like sometimes you get into a drama the first episode and you're just like, oh, I'm not so sure. Let's give it a couple more just to be sure. Mm-hmm. But I think this one, there's a little bit of comedy. There's a little bit of sort of like relatable situational stuff that like really catches your interest. So feeling really good after episode 1. Kind of curious of what the next steps are, how she's going to set herself up in this little town.
Like, I am curious to see how it'll go and if I will find it too predictable or not. I mean, it is kind of predictable so far, but it's very charming. So when it's got that aspect to it, it usually doesn't matter. I felt like the pacing of the first episode was good. Like, it didn't drag in any way. I felt like it was over before I knew it. And that's always a good sign for me. If I'm not paying attention to how long the episode is, it's generally a good series.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's definitely caught my eye. Chemistry between the two is really fun so far. So that's also a plus. And then all the extras, like I think we talk about that. We love all the extra characters. And so when those are good and the world is good that they're in, that also like really adds to it. So
exactly. It's already, even after the first episode, like the extended cast is already fleshing themselves out. There's a universe that's beyond them that sort of like makes everything a little more vibrant.
yeah. And I would say like I don't feel like, oh, I totally lost my thought here. But I think it was just trying to say is like I don't feel like it's, oh, that's what I was thinking. It's not rushing it too much at all either. Like yeah, she's already moving, but it didn't feel like it's coming too soon. And so it was like it feels like it's going at a really good pace, that as long as the series like keeps like that, I don't see a dry spell so much, unless I don't know, so like because it's always like when are they going to become a thing, right? And how long
Yeah, exactly.
until we see that. But I so far based on how they're like setting it up, it feels good and right and not too rushed or too slow or something.
Yeah, exactly. So things are looking up so far. We'll have to see how things go for a couple more episodes before we make a final decision on if we're gonna continue to the end or if we're gonna be like maybe later.
I don't know. Well, like I said, my husband's gonna just make me watch the whole damn thing because he's like, when they're watching the next episode. He already loves, which you know what is a hard, I will say it, it's a hard thing to do. He is strangely picky with K-dramas. So he's the Korean one and he's not that into it. So
But you know what? So like good signs.
mm-hmm.
Good signs.
Yeah. So we'll just have to see. Well, I think that's all we got today to talk about this episode. We're really excited about this drama and excited to share our thoughts with you. And I want to hear from you guys. I think Lisa does too. Always
Exactly.
will say, you know, just a like makes a world of difference to us. But what makes even more of a difference is if you comment on this video and let us know what you think of this drama. Are you excited for this drama? Are you like gonna drop it because it's not your thing? Like anything. I just want to know. Do you love Dushik as much as we do?
Exactly. Because like who doesn't like a guy that looks smexy when he's got the serious face on, but has like a really charming, goofy smile?
Exactly. So please like and share and comment and all those kinds of great things for us, because that keeps us doing what we love doing. And we're going to do it anyway, but it would just make our day if you did that anyway.
Exactly. Heart, we love you. We'd love you even more if you liked us.
Exactly. And so I'll leave it at that, and we will see you next week to talk about the next episode. All right. Bye.
Bye.